Today, we step into the final years of the Warring States period, an age of iron blood and empire building, where one state stood on the brink of total annihilation, Chu, the vast southern kingdom that had defied Qin for generations. And at the center of this last stand stands a man whose name is etched into both tragedy and legacy, Xiang, the greatest general Chu ever produced, the patriarch of the Xiang clan, and the silent architect of the rebellion that would burn the Qin Empire to the ground. This is not a story of myth or melodrama. Every detail, every battle, every choice is rooted in the strictest historical records, from Sima Qian, records of the grand historian, and contemporary Qin military annals. This is the unvarnished truth of Xiang, the Xiang clan, and the death of a nation that refused to surrender quietly. To understand Xiang, we must first understand the soil from which he grew. The Xiang clan, a noble military house with roots stretching back centuries. The Xiangs were not mere generals, they were institution. As Sima Qian writes clearly, the Xiang clan had produced generals for Chu, for generations in theft at Xiang. Hence they took the name Xiang. Their fief lay in modern-day Henan, a strategic stronghold that tied their fate irrevocably to Chu's survival. For generations they had led Chu's armies, defended its borders, and upheld its martial pride. By the time Xiang took command, the Xiang name was synonymous with loyalty, courage, and battlefield brilliance in every corner of Chu. This was not a family that sought power or glory. They were bound by an oath to protect their homeland, a vow that would define Xiang's every move and seal his fate. By 225 BCE, the Qin war machine was unstoppable. Han had fallen, Wei was crushed, Zhao lay in ruins, and Yan was on its knees. Only Qi, isolated in the east, and Chu, the sprawling southern colossus, remained. King Zheng of Qin, later known as Qin Shi Huang, the first emperor, turned his full attention to Chu. He gathered his court and posed a fateful question: how many troops do we need to conquer Chu? The young ambitious general, Li Xin, boasted confidently, 20,000 men are enough. The veteran general, Wang Jian, a man who had spent decades fighting Chu, shook his head. It cannot be done with fewer than 600,000. King Zheng, believing Li Xin's boldness signaled efficiency, dismissed Wang Jian and sent Li Xin south with 200,000 elite Qin soldiers, the finest fighting force in the ancient world. What followed would become the single most humiliating defeat of Qin's unification campaign, and it was all delivered by Xiang. Li Xin's invasion began perfectly. His army split into two columns, seizing Pingyu and Qinqiu, smashing every Chu force in their path. He pushed deep into Chu's heartland, marching toward Chengfu to link up with his second column under Meng Wu. Li Xin was convinced Chu was broken, its army scattered, its will to fight gone. He made three catastrophic mistakes. He stretched his supply lines to breaking point, left his flanks unguarded, and underestimated the fury of a people fighting for their homes. Xiang saw the opening instantly. He did not meet Li Xin head-on. Instead, he gathered every available Chu soldier, roughly 150,000 elite troops and local militias, and did something extraordinary. He followed Li Xin's army for 3 days and 3 nights, without rest, staying hidden, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. When he gave the order, Chu warriors fell on the Qin rear like a storm. They breached 2 of Qin's fortified camps, killed 7 high-ranking Qin commanders, and sent Li Xin's army fleeing for their lives. Tens of thousands of Qin soldiers died on that battlefield, a bloodbath that sent shockwaves through Xianyang. For the first time in a generation, Qin had been humiliated, and Xiang's name became a nightmare for Qin's generals and a rallying cry for every anti-Qin soul in China. King Zheng was enraged and humbled. He traveled personally to Wang Jian's home, apologized for ignoring his advice, and begged him to lead the next campaign. Wang Jian agreed, but only on one condition. He would have full command of 600,000 troops, the entire military might of Qin. This was not an army, it was a nation, on the march. In 224 BCE, Wang Jian crossed into Chu, and Xiang marched out to meet him with every soldier Chu could muster. The stage was set for the final battle of the Qin-Chu Wars, a clash that would decide the fate of China. But Wang Jian did not do what Li Xin had done. He did not charge, he did not seek a quick victory. Instead, he ordered his men to build fortifications, dig trenches, and wait. For months, Xiang challenged Qin to battle every single day. He sent riders to taunt Wang Jian, lined his troops up in full view, and did everything he could to force a fight. Wang Jian ignored him completely. His soldiers rested, trained, and waited their supply lines, secure their morale high. This was not cowardice, it was psychological warfare, and it exploited Chu's greatest weakness: resources. Chu was a vast kingdom, but its central authority was weak, its supply lines fragmented, and its treasury empty after decades of war. Xiang could not feed his army forever. He could not keep his men camped on the border indefinitely. The Chu court pressured him to attack, to end the stalemate, to save the nation. Xiang had no choice. He ordered his army to break camp and move east, hoping to regroup, resupply, and find a better position. That was the moment Wang had been waiting for. He unleashed his entire army, charging at the retreating Chu forces with overwhelming force. The Chu army was caught off guard, exhausted and disorganized. The battle turned into a massacre. Xiang fought until the end, leading his men from the front, cutting down Qin soldiers until he was surrounded. According to historical records, he took his own life at Qinan to avoid capture, a final act of honor for a man who had given everything for his country. With Xiang death, Chu's resistance collapsed. Wang Jian captured the Chu capital, Shuchun, took King Fuchu prisoner, and extinguished the last flame of independent Chu. But Xiang story does not end with his death. His legacy lived on in the Xiang clan, the family he had built, and the oath he had instilled in every generation. Xiang was the father of Xiang, the charismatic leader, who would raise the standard of rebellion against Qin decades later. He was the grandfather of Xiang Yu, the man known to history as the hegemon king of Western Chu, the warrior who would destroy the Qin army at the Battle of Julu and burn the Qin palace to ash. The Xiang clan did not forget. They carried Xiang defeat, his courage and his hatred of Qin in their bones. When the Qin Empire collapsed under the weight of its own tyranny, it was the Xiang clan that led the charge, fueled by the memory of their patriarch's last stand. Xiang final words, passed down through Chu's oral tradition, "If even 3 clans remain in Chu Qin, will perish at Chu's hands," became the anthem of every rebel. It was not just a curse, it was a promise kept. What makes Xiang such a compelling figure is not just his military genius or his tragic end. It is his humanity. He was not a perfect hero. He was a man trapped between a collapsing nation, a desperate court, and an enemy that outmatched him in every way. He won a battle that should have been impossible, fought a war he could not win, and died with honor. He did not save Chu, but he saved its soul. He turned a defeated kingdom into a symbol of resistance, and his family turned that resistance into a revolution. The Xiang clan went from being Chu's loyal generals to the architects of Qin's downfall, all because of the foundation Xiang laid. He was a warrior, a patriot, a father, and a symbol. In an age of empires and tyrants, he stood for something simpler and more powerful: loyalty to one's home, courage in the face of certain defeat, and the unbreakable spirit of a people who refuse to be conquered. If you enjoyed this journey into ancient China, hit like, drop a comment, and subscribe for more epic history. See you next time.